I'd always wanted to be on radio. I didn't realize then that that was my calling. I don't just believe in jumping onto a trend because everybody else is doing it. For me, it's a very painful process. And it's not until you accept the truth that you start healing. And it was through that pain that I discovered I knew who God was, but it wasn't the center of my life.
I love that. Hey sis, and welcome to the She Is Sustenance podcast. My name is Charmaine Sibusiso, and I'm so excited to have you join me for another episode of the Hey Sis podcast. If this is your first time listening, thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you like, you comment, and you subscribe. Join the family, share this podcast, and make sure your notification bell is on for new episodes. And if you are listening on your favorite streaming podcast sites, then make sure you leave a review and a 5-star rating so that other creatives like you can get to harvest and glean and enjoy this information. Also, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram. There's more resources there. There's more community there. If there's anything that you like about this episode, take a screenshot, take a screen recording, post it on your stories. Make sure that you tag us. We would love to hear what inspired you. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this episode. I am currently still on a high because it was so insightful, so nourishing for me as a creative entrepreneur. But before we get into the episode, a little life update. So I'm getting into the zone, I'm getting comfortable talking on the camera and talking to you guys and just aligning myself with the stewardship of She Is Sustenance. And I'm super excited, super humble, super grateful, and extremely blessed. God has been so good, you guys. Like, obedience is refreshing. When you be running and not doing what he told you to do, it's kind of uncomfortable. You feel like something in life that's not adding up. You feel uncomfortable. You feel not enough. And on the other side of obedience is peace, is fulfillment, is just knowing that I've done what God told me to do and giving it up to him and resting in that is so powerful. And so that's what I'm really enjoying in this season. And hopefully you are mindful and aware and discerning to just see an area in your life where you need to be obedient, because babes, let me tell you for real, obedience is better than sacrifice. Like, just do what he told you to do. There's peace on the other side of that. I can guarantee you that. Our little catch-up sessions are my favorite because I can just be myself, just Charmaine, chat and catching up with you guys. I'm super excited to introduce today's guest. She is a multimedia personality, a broadcaster, an entrepreneur, a brand strategist who has built a career around the power of communication and influence. And let me just tell you, boy, can she communicate. Nicole Jamu is the host of The Breakfast Show on Classic 263, a news anchor on ZTV, and the founder of Creative Fluency and a professional building impactful brands. She has also founded the CEO Agenda, which I'm super excited. You guys go and like and comment and subscribe on that. And she amplifies the voices and stories of women leaders. Through media, entrepreneurship, and public speaking, Nicole has become a respected voice in conversation and branding visibility and leadership. Today, we're talking about communication, personal branding, influence, and what it takes to create opportunity through your gift. Please help me welcome Nicole Jamu. Before we go into our questions and getting to know you and dissecting you, I just want to pick your brain on something.
Okay.
Because of social media, everyone has visibility, right? And not everybody has put enough effort behind the traction that they get. So do you think people getting into rooms and getting opportunities are solely just based off of visibility and there's no longer integrity with people actually getting what they deserve? Like with viral content, everyone and their grandmother has access to the internet and it's very easy to be viral. But somebody with a viral opportunity might get an opportunity that someone actually deserves who works hard and they don't get it.
Right. And that's such a good question. I'll give it to you because It's only now that I've kind of changed my stance on it. Initially, I used to think that, we give the platform to the wrong people, just solely based on the numbers that they have on social media. But right now, I'm also starting to see the intentionality behind it, because it's not all the time that you wake up and you're viral. Sometimes it's years of work that's accumulated. And I'll give you a really good example. If you know the Papa Toy song, it was released about 17 years ago, but it only became viral in 2026, Olivia Dean, she was singing for a while.
Yeah.
She used to be a street singer, but we don't know the backstory.
Of course.
All we see is, oh, now she's got 1 million followers and so-and-so brand want to sponsor her, but she's literally been working behind it. But I do think that there's a lot of discernment that has to go to who we give a platform to, which is why I appreciate platforms like these, because they offer audiences a chance to actually peek into what is behind the name. How long have they been doing it for? What are the things that they stand for? Because I am one person that champions alignment. I don't just believe in jumping onto a trend because everybody else is doing it, but is it something that speaks to you, that speaks to your spirit? Does it speak into your foundations, your aspirations maybe? So, I think there's two sides to it.
There's two sides to it. So I recently read an article on Instagram on, you remember the very demure, very cutesy. So the person that actually started that trend and kind of made the word demure popular got a lot of opportunities, a lot of brand deals and so forth. But this person had no real history in actually being a content creator or an influencer marketer. And they got very overwhelmed and ended up saying that it destroyed their life, because I think they had a fallout with one of the brands, and then that one brand went and tarnished the name to everybody else. And so being someone who's heavy in the communication space, because you're multimedia, right? So we cannot subject you to one area, but being someone in multimedia, how do you then navigate when you go from obscurity to a huge platform and you're not prepared for it?
The biggest thing is recognizing the responsibility that comes to it. To much whom is given, much is required as well. So I will say to those that have a platform, the first step really is recognizing it for what it actually is and not take everything for granted. I've seen this amongst my peers, my colleagues. It's so easy to assume that we speak to a passive audience, but we're not. We're not speaking to a passive audience. You're speaking to someone perhaps who is more learned than you are, who's got doctorates, PhDs, but it's only because your voice is louder because of the platforms that you're on. So I think part of it also is, once you've now established the responsibility that comes with the platform, you take the steps to learn what is it that's now required of me for me to fulfill whatever obligations, whatever expectations come with that specific title. I will tell you this for free. When I got into radio, I assumed, it's just me getting on radio, reading a script, and like me talking my mind out. But it wasn't until I was on the platform that I realized, wait, there's someone that has zero access to the information that I do. When you are sitting from a place of opportunity, it's so easy for us to overlook the things that we've got. And we think from a privileged perspective.
I love that.
There's literally someone who is maybe somewhere in Binga. I'm not saying they're not learning, just giving it as an example, but because of proximity, they can feel left out, and they can actually be left out. But I'm in Harare. I have all the internet access that I need. If it's an event, I can jump onto any project that comes on. So it's easy for me to just assume that everyone else who's on there has the same access that I do, but it's not. There's someone who wakes up in the morning to listen to the radio so they know what's going on, because they have no access to Facebook, no access to YouTube, the internet, or a newspaper. So it was then now the obligation that I felt like, oh my God, I never thought of it from this perspective. So I then started taking the initiative of learning other things that were outside of my niche. When I got into broadcasting initially, I thought I was going to be into arts and entertainment. Then I brushed out into business. But all whilst doing that, I started learning news and current affairs. What's happening today? What are the policies that Zimbabwe is moving with? What's our national standpoint? Who are our friends? International relations. I need to know what team played against which team today. I'm not a sports person, but those are things that not everyone is privy to knowing. So those were some of the things that I just discovered as I got onto this journey, that especially when you have a platform, you cannot downplay constant upgrade and just you learning and absorbing more things. Yeah.
I love that. I feel like I relate so much to it because there was a time when I actually gave birth to this concept in my mind that I had no access to the internet. So when I got to thinking of creating this brand, I had no internet. I was literally just a radio girl.
Right.
And I would listen to the radio and their little nduri, the little cell phone.
You had.
Yes, that's what I had. I didn't have access to information. I'd been online, chronically online, and then I wasn't online anymore. And so I didn't know what was trending. I didn't know what was going on, but I did know what was going on through the radio. And that's where I learned some of my favorite artists who are now my friends by listening to them on the radio and learning brands and stuff. And I think people don't understand. I understood in that moment for me that radio is probably the biggest mainstream media outlet in Zimbabwe, according to me.
I agree. And I think it goes even beyond Zimbabwe, because how many times are you listening to the radio, even in your car? And as much as you still have like all these other platforms to choose from, but people are still listening to it. I don't think it's by default that it's that way.
Okay, so you are this multifaceted, multimedia girl, very fancy, multimedia girl. But behind all of that, there's a girl called Nicole. So when the cameras are off and the microphones are off, who is Nicole?
You know what? I always say this to people and they don't believe it. I'm a very shy, and reserved person.
Every single creative on the planet, I'm so shy. And yet you're standing in front of thousands of people and using your voice.
I think it's also because by the nature of our jobs, you are forced to take on a persona. And as much as we want to be authentic, I don't think there's a thing such as authenticity when it comes to certain aspects of my career. When I am on the news, for instance, I can't be the bubbly, chatty Nicole. Like, the role in itself does not require a bubbly, chatty person. It requires for a very mature, stable, and authoritative stance. And if you ask me, that's not 100% me, you know? So, and even on radio, there's certain aspects of radio that require for you to be a bit more serious. Like, I do the morning show. When I'm on an interview and we're talking on a serious subject, I can't be, again, all chatty, and I have to be the woman of substance on radio and sometimes the voice of reason for the audience. So it's quite a stark difference between, the person that people meet in the morning and the person that I am. You could walk up to me one day and ask for a picture and I won't be in the mood because I go through the highs and lows. But when I'm on radio, I'm not allowed to show you that part of me. Or when I'm on TV, I can't be on your screens and depressing you even more.
Girl.
So I'm literally putting on a facade, if I can put it that way. So in my personal life, those that know me, I'm very reserved. You could almost say I'm a closed-up person. I take time to warm up to people, but I have over the years learned how to kind of just break out of my shell. So when I'm in public, I know how to relate to people, but it's not all the time that I'm smiley and I feel like being in the room. It's a lot of times that before I get to an event, especially if I'm not hosting, I get social anxiety and I'm thinking,
Girl,
oh my gosh,
I understand.
who else is going to be there? How are they going to relate to me? Are they going to like me? I go through all of those phases and I have to convince myself to step out of my shell every single time.
When did you realize that your voice was an asset, that you're able to communicate to people and make it a profession and monetize on that?
Girl, it took me so long. So my story is, I think it's a testimony in itself.
I love that. Yeah.
I have always, and I get so emotional when I tell the story.
It's a very safe space.
Pray that I don't get teary-eyed. But I'd always wanted to be on radio. I remember being 5 years old or younger in the house, and I grew up in a household that appreciated radio as a medium, and that's where my career started off. So I remember asking my mom questions like, who is that girl? They used to have Bridget Galanga on Power FM. It wasn't Power FM then, it was Radio 3.
Yes, Radio 3. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
yes.
and Davis Mugaza when he was Mdara Zoba and all of that.
Yes.
Like,
girl, you're such an OG.
I am a radio person like that. I used to listen to the Tinashe Chikuses, Butterfly, DJ Chili, and I would ask every single day a question about them. So I would always be fascinated. And then we grew into the era of like having young people on these platforms. I remember when Makanaka started with a TV show, and I would ask my mom, like, why do you never take me to the TV studio? I didn't realize then that that was my calling, but I guess also my parents just thought it was a random interest and I would grow out of it. So as is every other story, I kind of grew out of it. Decided, I want to be a social worker. I want to be a doctor like everybody else. Because unfortunately, we live in a world that kind of just limits you and gives you a pipeline of this is who you're meant to be, which kind of stifles us in a way. So I get to high school, career choice. I thought I wanted to be a social worker or psychologist because, the mental health talk was starting to spring up. So I thought, that could be interesting. I can ride on this wave. But I would always get asked wherever I went. Like, I could be buying groceries in a store and people would be like, are you radio?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, no, I'm not. And you have such a good voice for it. And even in high school, I was randomly selected to be part of the public and debates team, just off of my oration skills. But believe it or not, at that point, I never thought much of it until I got to uni. I made all of the applications. I had gotten a place in Nelson Mandela University.
Okay.
My mom decided 2 days prior to me flying out that she didn't want me to go anymore. So I restarted the process of applying to local universities. And everywhere that I applied, it was either commercial law. I wanted to be a commercial lawyer. Or HR. I tried HR, development.
Well, you were doing everything, but actually going to your dream.
Right? Now, here's where the story gets bizarre. I make all these applications and the admissions come back. My name is not on all of the degrees that I just listed out. It comes out on film and theater arts.
Oh, wow.
I didn't take it so well.
Wow.
I did not take that so well. So I went to Midland State University, drove all the way because even my parents were furious. Like, what is film and theater arts? And I think the reputation that comes with arts, especially here in Zim, and especially when we hear theater, Kamfupi comes. So they're like, are you going to be a street actor? Like, Kamfupi, hell no. Like, no ways we're allowing you to do that. So I drove back and I asked the admission team and they said, well, you actually have good points for your A's, so we can switch you up to whatever department you want to move to because you're actually good enough. So long story short, the day that I was supposed to get the final signature for my move to psychology, Film and Theatre Arts made an announcement that they were bringing a team of actual creatives to come and explain the possibilities of what you could become if you took the degree on. So little curious old me said, well, it wouldn't hurt for me to just sit through an hour and hear what these guys have to say. And I could not help but imagine myself in the space they described. So that's how I stayed.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is such, like, God literally navigating your steps, like literally closing this door to open this one just to get you onto the path.
So I really I think my path was really God ordained.
Yeah.
And I always say this to young parents that if your child shows interest as, you know, even as they are very young, like 3 years old or 5 or preschool, most of the time, their spirit knows
That's it.
what they're meant
They
to
know.
do.
Yeah. So what do you think God's teaching you about yourself in this new season?
In this new season, I have learned to appreciate him more and shut down the noise.
Yeah.
I
love that.
I've always been someone that's very comfortable in my own skin. Like, I don't mind being at home all day long and not have people around me. I'm so comfortable just sitting in silence. But what I have learned, especially over the last few months, is even in that silence, I was still kind of either leaning in my own understanding or still seeking validation in it at some point. Learned obviously the hard way that, you know, sometimes you don't realize that you're depending on someone a little too much until something happens or until they leave or until you lose them to natural causes. So it was, I think it was one of those moments that I realized that I was revering the people around me a little bit too much and putting them on a pedestal. So I made a conscious decision to, you know, remove myself a little bit and just sit through all the emotions that I was feeling. And it was through that pain that I discovered I knew who God was, but it wasn't the center of my life.
I love that. I love the fact that, one, you were mature enough to take a step back, because sometimes God has to put you in position.
Right.
And that one is painful. That one is hard, you know. But like, for you to be able to look at your life and be like, you know what? I think let me evaluate my life. Like, let me actually look at what I'm doing. Let me look at the people around me. Let me center myself. And then when you got to that place, you're able to find, okay, there's other things that are sitting on the throne of my heart. I'm going to realign my life. And that's such a powerful place to be.
And you know, there's a quote that people always throw around: the diamonds are made out of pressure. Someone years ago gave me this advice, and you know, at the time when someone is speaking to you, you just take it for granted. It wasn't until I started noticing a pattern. So, for those that are watching that are on their spiritual path, you know, there are certain things that happen that God is trying to say something to you. So for me, every time that something chaotic happens, if nothing goes my way for a season, it could be for weeks, sometimes it stretches up until like 4 or 5 months. If it's a project that I'm trying to do, if it's friendships, relationships, work, if nothing aligns and nothing feels peaceful and it's just chaos, I know that's God's way of saying, sit still, reset,
And have a relationship.
So every time that something happens to me, like I started journaling. So I put it down in my notes, and it's easier for me to look at the timelines, like when did this start happening, and I can then go back and say, oh, okay, this is where I need to fix. So it's kind of also been helpful for me in that sense.
I love that. We're going to digress a little bit from my questions, because you spoke about something that's very important to me and that I recently shared with a friend, and I was like, why don't you try journaling? Can you let me know the power of journaling from your personal experience?
It feels more like therapy. I started therapy this year.
You go, girl.
Started therapy this year. It's a very painful process. I won't lie. I know people glamorize it like, oh, I started therapy. You know, for me, it's a very painful process because it requires for me to retell the story and retell the painful moments. And every time that I tell the story, it's like reliving the pain again. But I have discovered that telling the story makes it make sense in my head, because a lot of the time we ruminate around things and we keep telling ourselves the lies. And it's not until you accept the truth that you start healing. Yeah.
Say that again.
It's
that
not
is such
until
a good word.
You accept the truth that you start healing.
For
as long as you're telling yourself a version of the story that's not true, the pain is going to remain.
So telling yourself lies will keep you in a cycle.
It will keep you in the cycle of. Imagine like how many times you've been in a relationship. I'm just giving this hypothetically. And this man cheats on you. And you've told yourself he cheated because I did this. And it hurts because now it feels like I pushed this person away. But have you looked at the actions that they have gone into themselves, the decisions they've made for themselves? So once you start telling yourself that this man is a cheat, this man broke my heart, period. And that's it. Look at it from an outside perspective. So for me, when I'm journaling, I look at my actions towards the things that are happening, the circumstances around it, and what everybody else did that also contributed to how I'm feeling now. If it's things that I can't control, I tell myself, this happened, but I'm not in control of this. I did this, and this is what I can do to change
accountability.
it. Yeah.
That's so
good. It's helped me immensely, just telling myself, and as much as it's painful, but I've realized that every time that I tell a story, I become less of a victim and more of the victor.
This is so good because I feel like it's going to free so many people from psychological torment that we allow ourselves to live in. And when you're in that place, you can't even create.
No, you can't.
Cannot think outside of your current situation because you're so tormented by the thoughts that you're allowed to live in your mind. And I think one of the most powerful things is taking accountability for ourselves. It's so easy to point and be like, this person did me dirty and this person did this. But like, where did I play a role?
Right.
How can I work on myself so that I'm not a victim?
And also like using the proper terminology for it. Because right now we throw a lot of big words around. Toxicity or being narcissist. Do we actually
the internet did a thing.
Do we actually know what it means? And, I was listening to this podcast. I don't remember the title of it. But in that particular episode, this woman was talking about circumstances and situations and how it's so easy for us. It was situational to the workplace, though. So easy for us to say, well, my workplace is very toxic. Are you labeling it correctly? Is it being toxic, or are you facing the repercussions of your actions? Because if you are expected to deliver maybe 8 days every day and you have KPIs that you're supposed to meet, and if you don't, and if your bosses are now retaliating and asking you to put more, is it really toxic, or is it because you haven't met the expectations?
That's the victim mentality.
Yeah. And also, if really there are challenges, before you label it toxic and before you go around like telling this really bad story, what have you done to rectify the situation? Have you communicated your needs? So it also like helped me in a way, like, okay, whenever, even if in the journaling, like, am I also being objective myself? Am I recognizing the role that I'm playing, some of these things that are happening to me and around me?
Because one thing about it, I will call myself out in journaling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't wait for anyone else to tell me. Because I have to be honest, like you said, like telling yourself the truth. Like Jesus said, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. You free from bondage when you tell yourself the truth. And I check myself in journaling. I'm like, okay, these are the actual things that you have to deal with, and confronting them for what they are, not sugarcoating things like, oh, there's bitterness here, there's unforgiveness here, there's childhood trauma that you have not let go of, and now it's recycling itself and kind of dictating your life. But that's such a great perspective. Okay, getting back to the business side of things, because this is so good. I love this.
I wish we had more platforms like this where, people actually pour their hearts out and they say their thoughts very freely, because a lot of the times, even as much as we're being authentic, you're put on a platform that kind of still manages what you say and how you say it. So I love this so much. Yeah.
I appreciate that, because my heart is really just, I want people to feel safe. Being a creative is not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy.
It's really not.
Like, shout out to everyone that actually makes a decision that I'm going to work in the creative industry and I'm going to make this my livelihood. Because you wrestle with so much, like, there's already the business side of things that we have to go into, but like just on an intellectual and spiritual and emotional level, there's so much that you have to go through to actually show up in your respective field. And so I'm happy that you feel safe. I'm happy that you came onto the platform. And I'm so glad that you're sharing with creatives, you know, what essentially is behind the brand, Nicole. So you've built a career around communication, and you've really done an amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
You've done a fantastic job. What makes somebody memorable when speaking? Like, how do you identify, like, this person, they have something?
Whew. There's so many aspects to it. But I think, you know, in as much as we beat around the bush, I just like being blunt. I like being blunt.
And you should.
I like it when someone speaks confidently. I don't care if you're speaking, you know, full facts. Sometimes we don't even go to look at the facts as the audience.
Because you're so convincing.
I know this as a fact. How many of us actually, when we listen to something or when we watch someone speak, actually go to verify the information they're telling you?
That's true.
We don't, but you buy it because of how someone is saying it. So how you carry yourself, either on stage, I'll give an example of being in front of a live audience, really goes into how people recept your message. You can put person A, who is very meek, very shy, sounds like they're doubting themselves, and they could be the most knowledgeable person in the room. But if they're not a good speaker, I guarantee you no one is going to listen to them. So you have to be really specific with what you say and how you say it. Like the delivery actually matters. It's the poise as well.
Body language.
The body language. Are you warm? Are you radiating confidence? Right? So with a live audience, I don't know if you've noticed this, that they're people that when you put them on stage, they stand in a corner and they're like in a shell. No one is going to listen to you because you're not owning the room. So there's specific rules. Like normally they would like divide the stage into 3. So you need to be able to use every third. And there's, when you're speaking a point, are you looking at someone or is this just, are you laughing? You know, what's your mannerisms like? So delivery is very important. Eloquence is something you can never, ever ignore. Unfortunately, if you want to be a good communicator, less pauses are okay. If you're communicating something, they can, but this is quite situational. There's a pause that tells you that I'm actually thinking and I'm putting emotion into what I'm saying. And there's a pause that says you don't know what you're saying. Right. So it's a very delicate balance between those. But yeah, like I said, this could be an actual podcast episode on the subject itself because there's so many aspects that go into it. But the good thing is anyone can be a good speaker. You can be taught the skill. But I always look at our local scene in Zim. In other countries, I know the US does this for a fact. When you get into public office, they teach you how to speak. You're taught how to answer questions. Here it's quite rare. You will have someone in public office. I won't mention names, but they won't be very good speakers, you know, because
that's true.
Anything that puts you in a place of leadership, I feel like you have to be able to communicate your thoughts and communicate them in the most natural way to your position or your brand.
I agree.
I often say this, and I know yesterday was Miss Universe.
Girl, I literally was trying to interject and say that
is not enough for you to win a pageant.
That is true.
It's never enough because there's so many elements to pageantry. You have those projects that they do. How are you going to convince people that my project is worth investing in? You have to be able to communicate basically yourself.
True.
And now I feel like it's currently one of the most underrated skills, but probably something that will change anyone's life because we've grown into a space where people are building personal brands. If you are any sort of brand, you really need to know how to communicate.
Yeah.
One way or another. So Yeah, it's really an underrated skill, but I feel like it's one that's worth investing in and just putting your energy into.
You literally answered my next question, because I wanted to say how much of success is attested to talent and how much is attested to preparation. And you literally just answered, you have to be prepared for the stage that you're asking for.
So I'll give you this example of my personal story again. This was 2018. I wasn't officially graduated yet, but I like to stay busy. So those few months of me having finished my degree on paper, but not officially kept, were so painful.
Yeah.
So I decided to try my luck into radio. I used to listen to every radio station. I still do.
Wow.
I know who's my competitor, which radio station, what they do.
Okay.
Everything. So I listened to the radio stations that we had, and I picked one that I felt if I went to this place, they'll see the value that I have to offer, because I had zero experience, remember. So I walk in and they're like, what do you want to do? So again, the preparation, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Said, I've listened to your station for quite some time now. I figured you don't have a good English news reader, and that's what I want to be.
You said that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I walked in, they're like, oh, okay, are you ready to audition? I said, yes, I am. I went in the booth. Mind you, these people had not put out a vacancy.
You created a space for yourself.
I created a space for myself. I walked in. They gave me a chance to audition. In my head, I'm like, best case scenario, they'll tell me to start on Monday, because it was a Wednesday afternoon. I remember this so specifically because I started work on a Thursday. Like, that's so odd.
Wow.
In my head, I'm like, best case scenario, they'll tell me to start on Monday. Worst case, I tried. At least I know, He came back and is like, start work tomorrow. So I started work on a Thursday.
Girl, what happened to the previous newsreader? They got booted out.
Yes, unfortunately, they eventually did. Not immediately, but eventually they did. That was example one. Example two was when I was at Power FM. We'd just gotten a new station manager. Again, when I face challenges, I think of ways of reinventing. I'm not that person that sits down in my pain and I cry. Like, I look at what can I do to change my situation. I didn't like the slot that I was on, and I felt like I have more to offer. So listened to the radio station again, and I thought, what's missing and what can I provide? Drafted a whole concept note, went to record a demo. Then I took it to my then station manager, and I said, I've got this idea. I think you need to put it on this time slot. This is what I'm envisioning. And then he goes, well, okay, I like the idea. You can go and record a tape. I'm like, I already have it. So he listened.
I'm so in awe.
He listened to the tape and is like, I like it. You start on Monday. And immediately made an announcement in the group. We're changing our lineup. She's no longer on this slot. We're putting her here. And I remember people getting mad. Like, why are you putting her on that slot? I didn't see the need to defend myself because I knew what I had done for myself, So those are just two of the many instances where I've put the time to jot something down and created a space for myself. So I always feel like sometimes you could be good at something, but preparation is 90% of the work.
Wow.
And talent is 10%.
I love that. Preparation is 90%, talent is 10%.
I'll put it at those, because there are people, like, how many times have you seen someone that is not talented, but you gave them a platform because of the effort they put? And then there's someone who is really good, but they just don't put the effort, So I always say, if you're passionate about something, action is always rewarded, no matter what.
I love that. I love that, because there's this spirit of procrastination that attaches itself to creatives. And there's one of my favorite scriptures is that Jesus says the kingdom suffereth violence and the violent take it by force. It's giving, there's an opportunity. If you guys don't see that I deserve it, I'm going to take it. and everyone else is going to catch up later on. Like, this is what I deserve.
Because I always ask creatives, back when I was still focusing on the arts, musicians particularly would come on the station and be like, oh, my music is not being played. What are you doing with your songs? Did you make an effort to bring your songs to the studio? And are you making use of the platforms that you have? Because a lot of the times we're looking at a bigger platform, but are you making use of the small one that you have? You're not. I won't mention names, but I know someone who got a radio job because of the work they were doing on their Facebook.
Wow.
We went into a meeting and we were scouting for new talent. And it goes back again to why I said there's an intentionality in visibility. They were like, who should we get? Who is young, energetic, who can bring a new feel to the station? And everyone brought up one name, and it was because of the work they were doing on their personal platforms.
Wow.
It wasn't, I guess for her, it wasn't even, I'm doing this so I get noticed. It's just, I'm doing what I can with what I have, And even if you were to put it in the scriptures, the parable of I was thinking about the word just now, the talents. God will ask you, I gave you 5. What did you do with those 5? You're asking for 100, but did you make use of the 5? So that's what I always say, like, before you ask for a bigger platform, are you making use of the one that you have? Before I got on national radio, I was on a regional radio station. I used to just come in, giving my 12 hours, 6 days a week, until the call finally came. Hey, we've been listening to you. I had no idea they were listening to my show. We've been listening to you for more than 3 months, and we think you should come. So had I just said to myself, being the sulky person, like, I don't like where I am, so I'm just going to give my minimal, I would have never become the Nicole that you see now. Quite literally. Yeah.
It reminds me of one of my favorite scriptures, which I'm going to use. So I have a segment after our talk, which is called Manna Moment, and I just reflect on a scripture, a revelation that I've gotten. And one of my favorite is in Zechariah 4. And it says, who despises the day of small beginnings? The Lord delights to see the work start. Like, a tree doesn't ever come as a tree. It always starts as a seed. Inside of that seed, there's a tree. And the only way you're going to know that there's a tree in the seed is if you plant it and you water it and you're consistent and you keep showing up for the seed until it becomes an immovable object.
Right.
That's so powerful.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look at some of the biggest artists that we have now, you can literally see the progression.
Yeah.
I always use this example, Job Praiser. I remember before he changed genres, he used to have this almost reggae-like sound. I don't know if people actually know this version of him. I remember back in high school, I used to get annoyed when people would play his music. I feel like, who is this person? Like, can you please turn him off? But now I've turned into one of his biggest fans.
One of the biggest artists in the country.
He has faced a lot of, he's evolved. We've seen that. But I can imagine like what came with that evolution. I don't know if you remember the soldier era of him. With the camouflage. Like, how many times has he had to
reinvent himself?
That's just testament. So if you look around, and I always say this, like, I don't believe in having one mentor or like one person that you look up to. Everywhere that you look, you must be able to find inspiration. And everyone has something to teach you and they can be your mentor. So your biggest mentor is asking questions. If you're curious about something, ask and you'll get the answer and it will help you to progress. So, yeah, there's always inspiration around us.
I'm inspired by listening to you. This is so good. So good. I'm so glad that you gave us your time. So, before we wrap up, I'm going to get into our Flash 5 where I just ask you 5 questions. Quick first answer that pops into your mind. Don't think too much. Just give me an answer.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, what habit that has contributed most to your success? One habit.
Spotify podcasts.
Okay. A book every entrepreneur should read.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay. One communication skill everyone should master.
Confidence.
Okay. A piece of advice that changed your life.
be scared and do it still.
What does sustenance mean to you?
Living within my means.
Fantastic. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Nicole. Thank you so much.
Thank you
This
for
was
having me.
awesome.
This was so much fun. You should bring me back for part 2.
I will.
You
I
know
will
what?
definitely.
Like, I'm always nervous when I'm set on the other side because
Yeah.
I'm used to being the person that's asking
That's
questions.
asking the
And I always
questions.
tell my people, like, guys, I'm so nervous
You
because I
have
don't know
no
what they're going to
need.
ask, but it's always fun. And yeah, I always enjoy being on the other side. And yeah, I wish you all the best.
Thank
you
you.
for creating a platform, a safe space for creatives. And yeah, I wish you all the best.
Thank
really.
you so much. Thank you. This was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, this was so good. What a phenomenal conversation. Probably one of my favorite. If you enjoyed that, please make sure that you take a screenshot and screen record your favorite part. I feel like so many creatives can glean and learn from our conversation with Nicole. And I usually try to prepare for my Manna Moments, but I feel like the conversation kind of led me in a different direction. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys. If you're not familiar with what Manna Moments is, it is our little taste of daily bread, just a reflection of whatever I feel like God is revealing to me and showing me in that moment. Nicole spoke about the parable of the talents and how you're given the ability to steward something that essentially really is not yours, if we're being honest. The talent belongs to the master, but he entrusts the servant enough to take that talent and see what he will do with it. And we know the story, the wise servant who had 5 multiplied and got another 5, the one who had 2 multiplied got another 2, and the one that had 1 had the audacity to go and dig a hole and hide it. Don't be the one. Don't be the one that hides your gift. Don't be the one that hides your talent. You were given something. Every single person has something in your hand. And we become so fixated with the fact that, like, oh, I have 1 and the other person has 5, so my 1 doesn't mean anything. Your 1 is powerful and your 1 comes from the 1. And if he gave you 1, he knows how to make 1 multiply over 100-fold. And so identify your talent, take it, and use it and invest it, and it will come back multiplied to you. And not only do you get it multiplied, but you also have an opportunity to go and dine with the master. And that's where you see God using your platform to not just elevate you as a personal brand, but to use your platform to be a vehicle for Christ to be glorified. And I think that's essentially what creativity is about. He says, if I am lifted up, I will draw all men to me. And the only way he can be lifted up in your life is if you use your gift and you honor it and you share it and you're bold and you're confident about it. And I really feel like the conversation that we had with Nicole gave us as creatives enough tools to be bold and confident about the gifts that God gave us. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, leave a like, a 5-star rating, and leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite part of the podcast was. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on Instagram. Do you subscribe on Instagram? No, you don't. You follow. Follow on Instagram, follow on TikTok, share it on your stories, share it with a friend. Make sure the notification bell is on so that you're up to date with new episodes. And if this is your first time watching, go back and binge previous episodes. I promise you there's some amazing insights from the creators that have come and shared their voices on this platform. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I will see you next week. Bye, sis.